Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into a recent, wide-ranging conversation with Dr. Subramanian Swamy, a figure known for his candid and often controversial views. He touched upon several hot-button topics, from the globally sensational Epstein files to the intricacies of Indian politics and economics. Let's break down the key takeaways from this compelling discussion. First up, the Epstein files. When asked about the potential involvement of Indian nationals, Dr. Swamy was unequivocal. He stated that while he hasn't seen any definitive proof of Indian names on the list, the possibility can't be dismissed entirely. He emphasized the importance of concrete evidence over speculation, a theme he would return to throughout the conversation. He suggested that if any prominent Indian figures were involved, the information would likely surface through international investigative agencies rather than domestic sources, given the global nature of the network. He cautioned against jumping to conclusions, stressing that in such high-profile cases, rumors often outpace facts. The conversation then shifted to the Indian economy, a subject Dr. Swamy has been vocal about for years. He once again challenged the official government data on GDP growth, calling it bogus. He argues that the methodology for calculating GDP was changed, leading to inflated numbers that don't reflect the reality on the ground. According to him, the real growth rate is significantly lower than the figures being publicized. He pointed to factors like stagnant private investment, widespread unemployment, and distress in the small and medium enterprise sector as evidence that the economy is not as robust as claimed. He believes that without acknowledging the true state of the economy, it's impossible to formulate effective policies for a genuine recovery. He proposes a return to older, more reliable methods of statistical collection and a focus on fundamental economic reforms. Naturally, the discussion turned to politics and his relationship with the BJP and the RSS. Dr. Swamy described his connection with the RSS as deep-rooted and ideological. He sees himself as a staunch Hindutva advocate, aligned with the core principles of the organization. He clarified that his criticisms are not aimed at the ideology itself, but at specific policy decisions and the direction taken by the current government leadership. He drew a distinction between the party, the government, and the ideological parent, the RSS. He feels that the government has, in some areas, deviated from the path that would best serve the nation's long-term interests, particularly on the economic front. He positioned himself not as an opponent, but as a corrective voice from within the broader ideological family, unafraid to speak truth to power as he sees it. On the topic of the upcoming elections, Dr. Swamy offered a nuanced perspective. While he remains a member of the BJP, his support isn't unconditional. He expressed concerns about the party's economic policies and what he perceives as a lack of a clear, long-term vision. He suggested that winning elections is one thing, but governing effectively and delivering on promises is another. He implied that the electoral outcome might not be as straightforward as many polls suggest, especially if the opposition can successfully highlight the economic challenges faced by ordinary citizens. He believes the electorate is discerning and will ultimately vote based on their lived experiences rather than just rhetoric. A significant portion of the interview was dedicated to the Adani issue. Dr. Swamy reiterated his allegations, claiming that the conglomerate's rapid growth warrants a thorough and impartial investigation. He questioned the sources of funding and the valuation of the group's assets, suggesting potential irregularities. He has been a vocal proponent of a Supreme Court-monitored investigation, arguing that the existing regulatory bodies may not have the capacity or the independence to conduct a proper probe into a matter of this scale. He framed this not as a personal vendetta, but as a matter of national interest and financial transparency, vital for maintaining investor confidence in the Indian market. He also touched upon foreign policy, particularly India's relationship with China. Dr. Swamy has long advocated for a more assertive stance against what he calls Chinese expansionism. He criticized the government's handling of the border disputes, arguing that a policy of mere disengagement is not enough. He believes India needs to be prepared to take tougher measures, both economically and militarily, to counter China's strategic moves in the region. He feels that downplaying the seriousness of the border incursions sends the wrong signal to Beijing and undermines India's sovereignty. He called for a clear and firm China policy that prioritizes national security above all else. Finally, he spoke about his own political future. At an age where many would retire, Dr. Swamy remains as active and outspoken as ever. He sees his role as that of a public intellectual and a watchdog. He made it clear that he is not seeking any ministerial position or post. Instead, his focus is on raising critical issues through public discourse and legal channels. He believes in using the tools of democracy, including the judiciary and the media, to hold the powerful accountable. He left the impression that he will continue to be a thorn in the side of the establishment, regardless of who is in power, driven by his own convictions and his vision for India. In summary, this was classic Subramanian Swamy, sharp, analytical, and unapologetically direct. He challenged official narratives on the economy, called for greater transparency in corporate dealings, and offered his unvarnished opinions on foreign policy and domestic politics. Whether you agree with him or not, his perspectives certainly add a critical dimension to the national conversation. He forces us to look beyond the headlines and question the status quo. What are your thoughts on his statements? Do you think his criticisms are valid, or is he simply being a perennial dissenter? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We'll see you in the next one.